Hello, this is Aline White Swan. Welcome to the Mysterious Domain Movie Palace. Are you afraid of dolls? You know, I have a small antique doll collection, and this one is a Dolly Madison, and she's over 200 years old. She was married to James Madison, and he was the 4th president of the United States. So, I myself, I really like these little China dollies, but I've known grown men when I was in England that were terrified of dolls. I knew a man who was a paranormal investigator who said he's seen everything demonic and ghostly and scary in London, but nothing scared him more than a China dolly. Well, I suppose they look a bit pale and wan, and I suppose if you're over 200 years old and you're made out of China, you have survived many, many things. But in honor of Dolly Madison here, I am bringing to you a story from our favorite series, our supernatural series, which I found in this book. In London many years ago. And this one stars a doll. And it's called Viktoria. It's written by Sue Lake. It's directed by Peter Sasdy. You know, there's a very strong Hungarian element in this series. I mean, we had Countess Ilona, the children of the night, what beautiful music they make. There they are again. Dorabella takes place in Central Europe, at least, if not Hungary. So I think that Robert Muller, the author of most of these stories, sees Hungary as some kind of realm of magic and mystery. Probably ever since Bram Stoker wrote Dracula. So this story is about a child and a doll. And I don't want to throw any spoilers in or get accused of telling the story because that's not my intention. You know, to me, I'm not worried about spoilers myself because my favorite films, I can watch the same film over and over again and I know everything that's going to happen and I still get scared at the scary parts. I still worry for the hero or the heroine in those parts. It doesn't affect me. And I also thought, you know, maybe it's appropriate to have Viktoria because, you know, there's this film out there now called Megan about a doll or a robot type doll. And perhaps it's the season of the China dollies. So say hello, Dolly. Hello. Hello. Red rum. Hello, I am speaking to you from beyond the grave. Look, I am taking over the body. Now I am going to run movie theater. Hello. My name is Dolly. Welcome to the mysterious domain. Now, this is a creepy doll story. Now, the director, Peter Sasdy, obviously he's Hungarian with a name like that. So he's born in Budapest, and he is known for directing films such as The Lonely Lady, Welcome to Blood City, and Journey into the Unknown. And he is married to one of the actresses in Viktoria, Myrtill Nádasi, and they have 2 children. So he's married to the lady who plays the Elizabeth, the first woman we see on the screen. And she kind of looks a little bit like Dolly here? Look at the camera, Dolly. All right. Hello. Now, our hero is called Paul, and he is married to Elizabeth. He's played by an Australian actor called Louis Fiander, and Louis Fiander became very famous in Australia doing Shakespeare and all that, and he got onto the radar of the Elizabethan Theatre Trust, and they had him come to England. And in England, he played in many Shakespearean plays alongside of Laurence Olivier and John Gielgud and big people like that. The kings of the theatre. And now he's been in our wheelhouse a few times. He was in Dr. Phibes Rises Again. And he's been in Doctor Who. He was also in the play 1776 where he played John Adams. So I'm sure Dolly Madison used to know John Adams, though she probably never met Louis Fiander because she's been in my house all this time. Now, Myrtill Nádasi, who looks very much like Dolly here, plays Elizabeth. She's also known as Mia Nádasi. Now, she was born in Budapest, Hungary as well. She was born in Budapest. That's my Billy Whitelaw imitation. She was born in Budapest. And she was in Upstairs, Downstairs. And she was in a Hammer House of Horror episode, which I haven't dug up because you can't always find them. And she was in Orson Welles' Great Mysteries episode, but most of her work was in Hungarian films. Now we come to our British actress, Judy Cornwell, who plays the governess in this. And she is rock solid. I mean, she's that type of actress that you feel like you've seen her before, but you might not have known her name. And she has a very strong presence. I think she just grounds the whole production because, again, we have a lot of emotional people who are all over the place having hysterics and all this stuff. And she really holds everybody down, calm down, she's like one of those, boom. She's very natural and believable. So she plays the governess, and she's the one who knows all the secrets in the house. Then we have the beautiful Catherine Schell, who plays the second wife, Theresa. Now, Catherine Schell was also born in Budapest, Hungary, and she doesn't look quite as much like Dolly as Myrtill does. She's the great-grandniece of Louis XIV, my favorite king. One of my favorite kings. The Sun King, Louis XIV. I've learned my hairstyle from Louis XIV. I have a French heritage, so I have always enjoyed having big Louis XIV hair. Her father is Baron Paul Schell von Boschlot, and he was a diplomat until the Nazis came along and they had to flee, kind of like in The Sound of Music. And the Nazis took all their wealth, all their estates. Her mother was Countess Katerina Maria Etelka Georgina Elizabeth Teleke de Jek. You thought the Spaniards had a lot of names. So she's royalty. It would take me all day to tell you her life story. And I don't know why no one ever made a movie about her, because she's got really, and they could have made a musical out of Catherine Schell's life story. She was in James Bond in Her Majesty's Secret Service. She was in Return of the Pink Panther. She was also the first actress considered for the role of Captain Catherine Janeway on Star Trek, but she didn't take it, and it went to Kate Mulgrew. Now, we had a very handsome actor called Esmond Knight. He was described as being classically, romantically handsome by some critic. And he plays Sir Charles. Now, Sir Charles is one of the hosts from the Club of the Damned. And You know, you wouldn't actually see the romantically handsome, dark-eyed stranger that he was known as, but that's him. Then we have this character called Edward who pops in to visit Paul, and he's played by Norman Eshley. And I couldn't find that much about him for some reason. I'm sure you Brits know all about him. Now, a genius actress is in this cast called Susan Richards, and she plays Kati, the grandmother figure, like kind of a nanny. That lady even learned Hungarian to play this role. She is so spot on. She's one of those actresses that can just melt into the character, and you just don't even see an actress there. She was born in Wales in 1898, and she was in Lady of the Camellias. You know, she's that generation, like Greta Garbo, you know, the Dame of Camellias. And she was in Village of the Damned that came out in 1960. Beware the eyes that paralyze, Village of the Damned. You know, I was aware that movie came out when I was a kid, and I wanted to see it because it would come on the TV. And I wanted to see it. You know, my mother's like, what's wrong with you? My mother's always wondered what was wrong with me in this regard, but I don't know, you know. I just thought, wow, that looks cool, you know, all these little blonde kids with these, you know. And she also had a bit part in The Haunting. I think it's uncredited, but it makes me want to watch The Haunting again so I can see where she is. The young Victoria, you know, because she's a child in this, is played by Genevieve West, and she's a really mysterious girl. Like, just the way she talks, and she just has a way of expressing herself, and she's so good. I can't imagine why she didn't go on to be an actress, because I think she only made a couple films as a child, and maybe her mother pulled her out of there, you know, for obvious reasons. But she is a really smart girl, and you know, she really creates an atmosphere in this story. I think she would have grown up to be a really good kind of gothic actress, you know, but yeah. Now, the music is by Paul Lewis, who did the music for all of these. And this music is really good in this one. I've found his name attached to so many British television shows and stuff. And you know, I found something interesting about him. He restored 3 medieval houses. For me, that's a man after my own heart. He's restored 3 of them. He saved part of history. So that is a really cool guy, you know. I just really like that. Now, another reason I wanted to put Victoria up in the season of the doll, but also because the Queen of Spades was blocked everywhere, surprisingly, including the United States, despite the fact that Studio Canal is in Europe, and I don't know, they just blocked it everywhere. But I haven't had any trouble with these supernatural episodes, knock on wood. So hopefully this one will stay up. I'm sure it will. And we can all enjoy Victoria for as long as it lasts. So take care. Say good night, Dolly. Good night.
Oh, gentlemen, for reasons of his own indisposition, our applicant has asked me, as your chairman, to read this tale of terror to you, with which he hopes to gain admission to our club. If it is with your agreement that I should. Very well. And my story, which was to have such dire consequences to my own person, is true. It began in the year 1873 in a house in Budapest. The house where the English consul, Paul Strickland, lived in apparent harmony with his Hungarian invalid wife, Elizabeth. But among those not entirely deceived by the tranquil surface of their lives were two members of the household. The English governess, Margaret Graham, charged to give what passed for an education to the consul's daughter, Viktoria, and old Kati, who had been the wife's dada, her nanny during her childhood days in the Carpathians, but now reduced to a mere appendage in the household.
And so it was that the hunter crept up behind the two-headed wolf and raised his silver sword higher and higher and cut off one of its heads with a single stroke. The blood flew out all over him and the golden bow.
Exciting.
But the wolf was not dead. It turned round and leapt at the brave hunter.
Oh, Kati, what's happened then?
And then the hunter said, "Isn't it about time Victoria was in bed?"
Oh, no, Kati. Just when it was getting interesting.
Why do you do that?
I beg your pardon.
Hitch your trousers in that manner.
I do not wish them to be creased, my dear.
Does it matter?
Some people at the consulate might think it matters.
But your trousers are not creased. Is it of world-shaking importance?
It matters. Just as filling this room to suffocation with roses matters to you, my dear.
I like roses, Paul. I need to be surrounded by them.
Exactly, the country girl. The soiree in the consulate grounds tomorrow night, have you decided? Do you wish to attend?
Yes, I wish to attend.
Good.
I would be an embarrassment to you, as always. Of course, I shall not come.
What a pity.
Victoria, did you see her today? Is she all right?
I dare say, my dear.
I dare say, my dear. Will you look at the child before you go out?
Gladly.
And don't wake up Miss Graham.
I shall endeavour not to do so, my dear. Good night, Elizabeth.
He is going out again.
He has other friends, Kati.
He makes you unhappy, that I know. Why did you marry him, Ketchen? He is not good enough for you with all his grand ways.
I loved him, Kati.
Loved him.
He gave me a home.
The farm was your home, not this place.
God has been good to me. I will not hear another word.
No. You will give yourself a temper at you.
Dear Kati. Look, I shall embroider roses on the tapestry. Red roses.
You make everything more beautiful.
Fetch me something. My attar of roses over there in the drawer. Kati!
Oh! Here, Kedvashem.
Thank you. Is Victoria asleep?
Yeah, sleeping like an angel. But today perhaps I should not tell you.
What mischief has she been up to now?
I caught her digging a hole in the garden with her bare hands. She told me she was burying all her dead friends.
Her dead friends?
She said some of her dolls had been naughty, so they died. Oh, children. I had to give her a hot bath. She will never come to any harm, my dear. I know.
All right, Kati. Good night.
Good night, my dear.
Kati! Don't let them take her away from me.
Mrs. Strickland.
People seem to think, Miss Graham, that because I'm confined to a wheelchair, I have become mentally deficient in some way.
I'm sorry.
You are an attractive lady in a foreign country, my country. I don't want to be treated like a child who is slow at learning. You may own half the world, Miss Graham, but you do not own my husband or my child.
No, Mrs. Strickland.
Naughty, naughty dog. And you, it's not fair. It's not fair. So naughty.
Stop that noise
Naughty.
at once at this time of night. Og du kan lette kut. Den Jan Margaret. Nick paid. I wanna hide it.
You're supposed to speak English to me. Father insists.
You must sleep, my little one, and grow into a big, healthy lady.
Like Mama.
One day, Mama will be well again, soon.
That is not true, Kati, is it? It's her heart, isn't it? Her heart, her sick heart.
She needs to rest, Kid Vashem, and so do you.
That silly doctor gives her pills. Won't they make her better?
Well, they do help a little, but it's all a question of rest, you see. And now, good night, little one.
Kati? When is Mama going to die?
My dear, shall I call Kati?
No,
But your arm is hurting.
no, Shanley.
The doctor, then.
Oh, that old fool. Just give me my tablets there, over there on the piano. It's only a strained muscle.
Of course. How many?
What?
How many?
You know how many. Please.
By the way, young what's his name, you know, Baron Tote's youngest. The Hussar.
Ferenc Stott?
Ah, yes, Ferenc, that's it. Fancy forgetting. I ran into old Tote at the Black Cat today. He's off on his honeymoon tomorrow. Ferenc, that is. To Venice. Awfully conventional, but the young lady insisted.
Young lady?
Well, not all that young, actually. The young scamp's found himself a rich widow from Vienna. Old Tote is delighted, of course. He showed me her picture. Incredibly beautiful, too. They're very much in love, I believe.
Tablets!
What?
Tablets!
Oh, yes, of course, the tablets. What can I be thinking of? Please? Oh, Dad. This won't take a moment. Kati! A glass of water! Kati! Kati, come quickly!
Pieter Schell! Theo is dead. What have you done? What have you done? Don't forget, Elizabeth. We will both make sure of that. Won't we? Won't we? Leien, Genevieve. At kostet leien, Genevieve. At kostet leien, Genevieve.
Elizabeth's death was not the end of my tale, gentlemen. Actually, I'd call it the beginning. After 2 years, Paul married again. A girl he met in Pitch on a hunting trip. Her name was Theresa. When men marry for the second time, the new wife usually resembles the old one. Paul was no exception to the rule.
Paul, I'm looking forward so much. England must be such a beautiful place.
Beautiful. Like you.
Paul. Mrs. Strickland, Kati has come to say goodbye. But I completely forgot. Thank you, Margaret. I don't think I could have managed without Miss Graham, Paul.
Your excellent efficiency has saved the day, Miss Graham. As always.
Thank you, sir. It seems such a pity that we're taking you away from your friends.
I have few friends here. I go wherever it is necessary to go.
And we're very grateful for that, aren't we, Paul?
Indeed, yes.
And so will my stepdaughter. Doesn't that sound strange? My
Incidentally, Mrs. Strickland, what about the wheelchair?
What?
The wheelchair, what is to be done with it?
Oh, well, we don't have any need for it in England, have we?
No, of course not. Throw it out.
Yes, sir. I'll send Kati in, shall I?
I'm sorry. That must have upset you. But she's so direct sometimes.
Not to worry, it all seems such a long time ago now.
Paul.
You see, you're so different. Ah, Kati, good afternoon. You're keeping well? Hmm? I'll be in the study. My papers.
I've come to say goodbye to Viktoria.
Oh, but she's not here, Kati, dear.
Oh,
We sent her on ahead to England with her aunt.
nobody told me. You see,
I have brought something for her. A present. I did so want to see her face when she received it.
I shall give it to her.
Ah, there we are, my dear. But I'm afraid you won't see Victoria now. You will have to wait.
We were so sorry that you left so suddenly, Kati. Everybody
You
missed
weren't ready, were you, my pretty one? And we had some business to see to, didn't we, Kedversham? Unfinished business. But you are here now, and soon you will go to England. Isn't that exciting for you? But you must keep warm, Rosa. It will be cold there.
It was a very kind thought of you, Kati. And she's such a beautiful doll.
And she smells so nice too, doesn't she? We had to use her favorite scent before we came here.
Oh, yes. What is it?
Roses, of course. A tar of roses.
So the newly married couple and the governess returned to England to live with Victoria in the family house, the house that went with the legacy. That same legacy, which would enable Paul Strickland to live in idleness for as long as he wished. But it was hardly the kind of English country house Theresa had hoped for.
Papa!
I thought you were supposed to be in your room unpacking. What have you been doing? Playing?
I was in the kitchen with Theresa.
And what was Theresa doing?
Ordering cook-arounds. I think she enjoys doing that.
Well, so long as it's only cooking.
Papa, does she order you about too? Oh, Papa, does she? Don't you ever miss her? Mama, I mean. I don't miss her as much as I thought I would. I've got Rosa now.
You're happy here, then? The house?
It's a bit gloomy, actually. But I like the owl.
Yeah, so do I. He keeps me company.
How do you know it's a he?
Well...
Owls are she's, usually.
Oh, are they? Victoria, I had indeed meant to ask you something.
Yes, Papa?
Yes, well, simply, what I meant to ask you, tell you, is that you must always pay attention to what she says. Call her Mama.
Theresa!
Yes, you must obey, Theresa. Oh, I know stepmothers are supposed to be, well, not nice, but...
Papa, can I dig a hole in the garden? Like I did in Budapest. I dug a huge hole there. Do you know why?
Victoria, what I meant...
Victoria, I don't think Papa wants to hear about Budapest.
No, Mama. I'll go to my room.
You don't have to.
I'll talk to my doll. She always listens to me. Not like some people. Oh, how lovely. You've finished another rose. How clever you are, Rosa. Well, give me a kiss then. Rosa and her lovely rose. Rosa and her lovely...
Were you calling me?
Miss Graham, I was talking to her. To Rosa.
Oh. I think it's time we did some work, don't you?
Rosa and her lovely rose.
You think she's pretty?
Who, my dear?
Why, Miss Graham, of course.
I don't, well, what an odd question. Worried about your looks at your age?
I think she is. Strange that she never got married, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, I would have expected her, of all people.
She always seems to me a bit standoffish, a bit, well, cold.
I thought she seemed rather lonely.
By the way, I saw old Blake's son yesterday. He's growing into a fine young man. Very fine. I wonder if I should consider employing the boy. He'd be useful to have around.
is a strange tension in this house. Sometimes I think, I fear. No. It must be me.
Have you finished the essay yet, Victoria?
No, Miss Graham.
Aren't you interested in rabbits?
No, Miss Graham. I think they're stupid.
Well, dear, what are you interested in?
Roses.
What?
Roses. Red as blood, Miss Graham.
Take out your French exercise book. I want you to translate page 4. In your best handwriting, please. And try not to put the pen in your mouth, Victoria. Ink is not going to be your staple diet in England.
No, Miss Graham. I mean, yes, Miss Graham. Miss Graham, how do you like her? Theresa?
Well, I haven't really thought.
But I'm sure you have thought, Miss Graham. I'm sure you've thought a great deal.
Victoria, don't speak to me like that.
Why not, Miss Graham? I've seen you looking at her. She is lovely, isn't she?
Victoria.
We've both seen you looking at her, Rosa and I.
I will not tolerate. Get back to your work.
Why don't you tell me? Are you afraid to?
Be quiet.
And now you never kiss me anymore, Miss Graham. You've gone cold. Rosa won't like this. She may punish you.
I feel I am loving two people. One is kind and humorous and considerate. The other is a distant stranger. Is that what it means to be a wife in England?
Victoria? Are you in there? Open this door, please, Victoria. At once, Victoria!
Yes, Miss Graham?
What are you doing?
Nothing, Miss Graham.
You don't make a noise doing nothing, Victoria. What are you doing?
Talking to Rosa, Miss Graham.
You may own half the world, Miss Graham, but you do not own my husband or my child.
Are you all right, Miss Graham? You look terribly pale.
Ah, my dear, good news. My best friend Edward is coming today. The army's given him some leave. Oh, and Miss Graham would like to have a talk to you about Victoria. But it can wait if you're busy.
No, I'm not busy.
Oh. Well then, in that case, if you'll excuse me.
Yes, Miss Graham. What is it?
Well, to be honest, Mrs. Strickland, I'm worried.
About Victoria?
Yes. She seems... how can I put it? Lonely. A bit odd. Since her mother died... Since her mother died, she's changed.
It was a shock for her.
No, this is more than just shock. Her mother was a very...
I don't wish to discuss her mother, Miss Graham. I am her mother now.
Yes.
Is that all, Miss Graham?
Mrs. Strickland, I had to reprimand the child quite severely. That's never happened before. I think... Well, I'm sure it's the doll. She talks with her doll. I think we should take it away from her.
But children do have vivid imaginations, don't they? No, Miss Graham. She can keep her doll. It's only a toy, after all, and a very pretty one.
When her mother was
Thank
alive...
you, Miss Graham. I will deal with it.
The cat's head began fading away the moment he was gone, and by the time he had come back with the Duchess, it had entirely disappeared. So the king and the executioner ran wildly up and down looking for it, while the rest of the party went back to the game. That's enough for today, Rosa. I feel quite tired. Come, you must rest too. We've both worked hard. Another rose, just like Mama used to make. So beautiful, so red.
I do hope that Victoria isn't seriously unwell, Paul. But Miss Graham seems to think...
Miss Graham, perhaps we should consider sending Victoria to a boarding school.
Would that make her less lonely?
I know I'll ask Edward to take her riding tomorrow.
It's so difficult for me as the stepmother.
But don't worry. I'll have a little talk with her soon. Unless you feel like doing it, of course, my dear.
What a strange father you are. Have you seen the child at all today? Is she all right?
I dare say, my dear.
I dare say, my dear.
Oh, it's you. How long is this Uncle Edward staying?
For a little while, Victoria.
He wants to take me horse riding. I don't think I like him. Do you?
Yes, he's quite nice.
Well, I don't think so. He and Papa are very silly. They bang each other on the back and laugh all the time.
Victoria. Miss Graham tells me. She says that you're not feeling well.
Oh, I'm perfectly well. We both are, aren't we, Rosa?
Your father worries, you know.
Does he? Isn't she pretty, Mama? Don't you think so? See, she's very happy to be with me. Aren't you, Rosa?
Your father, Victoria. Your father loves you very much.
I wonder if he loves me as much as you do, Rosa. I wonder. Rosa and her lovely rose. Rosa and her lovely rose.
Clever Victoria. You made her feel better, I think.
All right, I see you.
There.
Oh. There.
Oh! You've beaten me again. You're not cheating, are you?
A gentleman never cheats. By the way, I do like your little Theresa. Very jolly. You've struck lucky this time. Bit on the temperamental side, though, I shouldn't wonder, eh?
She's a good wife.
One for you.
Please.
And a good mother for little, what's her name?
Victoria.
Your drink, sir.
Thank you. Oh! Gentlemen, never cheat. You go and sit down, you young scamp. And behave yourself.
Couldn't resist it, old man. Don't think she likes me much, though.
Who, Victoria?
No, your wife. Do you? Like her, I mean. So there he was, poor fella, dangling upside down in one of his own traps. Well, it could have been worse, I tell you. He could have injured himself for life.
What an exciting life you must lead in India, Edward.
Well, a little primitive.
Like Budapest.
What are you going to be when you grow up, Victoria?
A surgeon.
Victoria.
Don't you want to be a governess like Miss Graham here, or married like your mother?
My mother wasn't married. She was in a wheelchair.
What about the land to the west of your estate, Paul? Any room for development?
Quite certain there is.
Why, Edward? Are you thinking of settling down?
Well, eventually, yes.
Leaving the army? After so long? Where would you live?
Well, Edward is only thinking about it, my dear.
How sensible. Are you planning on getting married?
Of course not. Don't be silly. I mean... Well, are you, Edward?
Not at the moment, old boy, no.
Where would he live then? Here?
It's Victoria's bedtime. And mine.
Must you leave us too, Miss Graham?
Surely the child is capable of putting herself to bed.
Surely I'm not in a wheelchair. Yes, I hate them too. All of them. Yes, Rosie.
Brandy?
Perhaps one more, my dear.
Would you, my dear?
Victoria! Victoria, please!
And then tomorrow we'll go horse riding, eh?
Yes. Well, surely that was all arranged.
Oh, yes. Elizabeth was a great one for horse riding. Great little rider, Elizabeth.
Yes, but surely didn't you tell me that...
Yes. Nasty accident. It wasn't her fault, and it didn't help her heart condition.
Paralyzed her permanently.
Oh, even from the wheelchair, she could still rule with a fist of iron.
May I? Drink.
Of course. Oh, good Lord.
Oh, please, I must speak to you.
I'm sorry, Theresa. I'm not, as it happens, feeling awfully well.
Oh, please. It's about Victoria, your daughter.
Oh, dear, my daughter. Huh? Whenever there's something wrong,
Please,
it's always my
please.
daughter.
That doll.
Dear, oh, dear.
There's something the matter with it.
I don't know. It seems like... possessed. By something evil.
Oh, nonsense, my dear. Take it away from her.
You can't just take it from her. The child is obsessed by the doll.
Will you kindly refrain from calling my daughter the child?
Oh, please!
Oh, please, please. Leave me alone.
Poor Elizabeth.
What are you talking about?
I'm not a child. Or an invalid.
Theresa, my dear, how extraordinary. What's the matter? What have I done? I mean, good Lord, you have everything here a woman could possibly wish for. I don't even make demands on you. I'm sorry, I'm going to be sick, I think.
Yes, Mrs. Strickland?
This is very difficult for me. I want to ask.
Yes.
I have to. Please don't misunderstand me. But what exactly is your relationship with my husband?
He employs me as a governess, Mrs. Strickland.
Yes, Miss Graham. And?
I think I am misunderstanding. If you are not happy with the work I do here...
Did you like her? His first wife, Elizabeth.
Oh, poor Mrs. Strickland.
I look like her, don't I?
Oh, yes, a
Did
little.
you just call me poor Mrs. Strickland?
Forgive me, did I?
You are a very attractive woman, Miss Graham. Has Paul ever told you?
Mr. Strickland? Why should he?
You were alone with him in the house in Budapest before I arrived.
If you're implying...
Did he persist?
I don't have much
Miss
time.
Graham, please
I do
tell
not
me.
wish to continue.
I have the right to know.
Well, you should know, shouldn't you? Mr. Strickland isn't... He doesn't really like women, does he?
Oh, my God.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you knew, or you realized. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
I want to go home. Hazakarok Manny. Hazakarok Manny.
I understand, Rosa. If that is what Allah wishes, yes. If he must be punished, then punished he must be.
Oh, God. I wish I were dead, too. Edward? Is that
You, Edward.
Tablets! Tablets!
Vengeance!
Accursed Ladian, Shem Neviben. Accursed Ladian, Shem Neviben.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, my pretty one. It's finished now, isn't it? It's completed, isn't it? Rosa! Rosa! Speak to me again! I need you, Rosa! Oh, you must come back! You must! Don't leave me with them! Alone! Don't leave me! Thank you, Rosa.
Goodbye, Mrs. Strickland. I can only repeat, quite inadequately, of course, that I'm most dreadfully, frightfully sorry. If there is anything...
Thank you. There is nothing. I presume you have changed your mind. You won't be moving in now, will you?
My plans have changed, Mrs. Strickland.
I'm so glad. I'm sure you will be very successful. You people usually are. Where is Victoria?
Still in her room.
First her mother, now her father. It doesn't seem fair on any of us.
Well, he wasn't really, was he?
Pardon?
Her father, I mean. I thought you knew.
What?
Elizabeth had this affair with a young Hungarian officer, a hussar. Oh, Mr. Strickland tolerated the situation. After all, he had his position to consider, his own self-esteem.
I didn't know. And we must never tell Victoria, must we?
No. Why should we?
You don't...
What?
You don't think... I've heard her, Miss Graham, whispering to herself and giggling. Why doesn't she come out of her room?
You mustn't upset yourself.
That doll!
Here.
It's still there with her.
It will
They
come.
planned this
It was
together.
an accidental death. That's what the coroner said. Besides, you know how much he used to drink. Now, the doll had nothing to do with it.
It was you who told me first. She speaks to that doll, you said.
Oh, what are you
What else
saying?
are they planning against us?
All
I've heard it.
It's going to be
Her
all
now,
right. It's
whispering
going to
and
be all
giggling.
Right.
And they watch.
Victoria has
They watch
two
everything.
doting
Perhaps
mothers
they're
to look
watching us
after her.
now.
Everything's going to be all right. There's nothing to be afraid of.
But what if she...
Oh,
what
be
if the...
still. Everything's going to be all right. We must see to it that Victoria grows into a remarkable young woman. We are strong together.
And so they lived happily together. Well, I must say. But
Am I accepted?
really? But surely this is a case of false pretenses, hmm?
Why? Is membership of the Club of the Damned restricted to men?
To gentlemen.
Don't you like ladies, Sir Charles?
And you are, I presume?
Yes, I am Viktoria Strickland, that remarkable woman. And I have not come to you without a companion, gentlemen.
A companion?